Good morning, sister.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, sister.
Good morning, Miss. Good morning, Fatima.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning, sister. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Nirija. Good morning.
Good morning, Father. Good morning, sister.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning, sir. So we'll have the college or college family. It's like going to be a kind of family webinar. Huh?
Yes, Father. It's like a family gathering.
Yes.
Father, we have first years and final years. They're not in the campus. They're at home, Father.
Okay.
The second years are with us now, right now. They are writing the examination.
Okay.
So they are in the campus. Whereas all our final years and first years are attending from home this particular session.
Okay.
Good morning, sister. Good morning, Father.
Good morning, Amma.
Shall we start, sister?
Miss, just half a minute. We'll
Yes,
wait
yes.
for half a minute. Some
Yes,
more
sister.
joining. Some students are
Yes.
joining.
Yes, sir. Yes, sister.
So we give a grace period of a couple of minutes.
Yes, Father. Students are joining in YouTube, Father.
They're joining YouTube for the because Google only 100 can join.
Yeah.
They're joining. Yes, Miss. Let us begin.
Yes, sister. Thank you, sister. A very good morning to each one of you. Respected correspondent sister, Dr. Sister Marietta Pudota, our principal, Dr. Sister Marietta De Mello, Sister Vice Principal, Dr. Sister Shaurilu, Dr. Sister Sunila Rani, the Controller of Examination, heads of various departments, members of the staff, and my dear friends. A heartfelt welcome to you all to this Carlo Memorial Lecture, an annual event. You must be wondering why we have this memorial lecture. This is initiated by the management of the college in honor of their founder, Carlo Tancredi di Barolo. He, with his wife, founded the Congregation of St. Anne's of Providence, that is our sister's congregation. This noble couple worked for the children who are poor, and their relentless services towards the development of education was commendable. In following the footsteps of their founder, our sisters are committed for the cause, the noble cause of education. It is for this reason we are here to have the Carlo Memorial Lecture in honor of Carlo Tancredi. Before we proceed, we start with our daily prayer. I request Dr. Fatima Rani to say the daily prayer.
Let us all join together to say our daily prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy will
Thy will
be
be
done
done
on
on
earth
earth
as it is
as
in
it is in
heaven.
heaven. Give
Give
us
us today our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from
evil.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss, for doing the honor. It is the relentless efforts of our Dr. Sister Marietta de Mello, our principal. It is her efforts made this happen, made this event happen today. May I request Sister to give the keynote address? Please, Sister.
Respected and dear Reverend Father Bala, the Jesuit, dear sisters, dear member of the staff and students, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss.
Good
We all
morning.
know about our beloved founder, Carlo Tancredi, who is a great educationist. During his lifetime, he has done a lot for the cause of education, educating the children, especially the young children who are poor and needy. And he has brought education, giving a lot of meaning to their life. There is much to know about him, but still our first years do not know much about our founders. Every year we celebrate, we recall the beautiful work of our founders. And today, in his name, we have arranged this lecture. Uh, Today, I welcome Reverend Father Bala, who has agreed to deliver this lecture. The topic is very interesting, very thought provoking, and very important in our life, because here we all are educationists, and Father Bala is a fit person who can really will make a difference today as far as education. He has taken the challenges in education for transformation. We are waiting for we know the challenges of education, but transformation is something is very interesting. We are eager to hear you. And in our life, this is very important. Today, education has become very challenging in every sector. And we have more education is, yes, and the more challenges also. And to transform from this is something beautiful. We are eagerly awaiting Father. First of all, I thank you immensely for your generous availability. See, being available is something, a generosity shown in this is something beautiful and marvelous. Father, I know that you are very busy. Father is a very busy person, having to attend so many programs and lot of preoccupation, and has taken up so many projects. And in spite of all this, Father made it possible today to be with us to deliver this talk. Definitely, our founders from heaven, Father will smile at you and smile at all of us, and He will definitely He will bless you, because our founder was, his whole heart and mind was on education, educating the young children, and we all are eagerly waiting, Father. With His blessing, we go ahead, and we are eagerly listening to you, and also we put into practice all the suggestions that you give us. A warm welcome to you, Father. Dear staff and students, wishing you all the best. I'm wishing you all the best because this talk will definitely is going to touch our life, the core of our profession. Definitely, it is going to have some fruit, it is going to have some result in the future for the days to come. So I wish you all the best. Let us have a very good time, very good session. May God be with us and bless us in all our educational endeavors. Thank you once again. God bless you.
Thank you, Sister, for your wonderful words and making us part of this event. Dear friends, we have Father Bala, Balakumar Bollineni, SJ with us. Before I invite him to take over, just a few glimpses from his biodata. Father is a man of distinct vision and fountainhead of illuminating ideas and lot of experiences. He is a Jesuit priest, founder director of SJ, that is Youth Empowerment Service Jesuit. He's ordained as priest in 2014. 2010 to 11, he worked as a counselor and teacher in Belvedere College, Ireland. He did philosophy from Madras University, psychological counseling at Montfort College, Bangalore, theology at the Hethrop and St. Mary's University, London. He had widely traveled around 25 countries, enriched with a variety of cultures and experiences. Currently, he is the coordinator of youth ministry of Andhra Jesuit province and residing at Andhra Loyola College. Father, we are fortunate to have you here with us. And Father is going to speak on the challenges of education for transformation. Father, I invite you to take over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sister, and thank you very much, ma'am, for introducing me to the students and the erudite staff members who are attending this webinar. Am I audible enough?
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. So I'm not sure whether how much am I going to do justice to the topic, but I'm sure I'm going to throw some light on the present day challenges, much more than becoming or rather listening to the challenges. I would like you to become aware of the challenges, and in the course of time, how I can be a little light and lamp in making a transformation, in bringing transformation around in the field where I am. So it's very easy to ask the world to change, but it would be rather difficult for us to make little changes. But it would be a huge, huge benefit to the welfare of the society if I can make a little bit of a change to the way that I need to look, the way I need to do things, and bring in the transformation. That is possible. So I hope this throwing up some ideas or some thoughts might touch somewhere 1 or 2 points and that you can take home with you. So I just wanted to begin on a lighter note, since we're talking about education. I always tell this little joke about a little girl going home. Rather put the boy. Boys are more naughty than girls. Little boy came back from elementary school, the LKG, and started doing his homework. You know how we do our homeworks. The teachers give us A for apple, B for bat, things like that. The words are given. They are supposed to repeat those words and write. So the child started apple, bat, and all that. He was writing for the word E. E for electricity is what the word that he got it. So he started writing E, L, E, C, la, la, la. He started, instead of saying electricity, he started pronouncing it as electricity. Electricity. So naturally, he was very, very, very strong because he learned it from his teacher and wanted to repeat that way. So the father came back home after his jobs, after his work, and he said, "My son, it is not electricity, it is electricity." And you know the child's natural response usually. They said, "No, I'm sorry, Dad. My teacher told me it is electricity." So the dad was a bit unhappy. He said, "No, what kind of school is this? I thought I studied in this school. It's run by Loyola Fathers. There's some supposed to be very good at education. So they're teaching this kind of words. The simple words also not able to be pronounced properly." So the child would not listen to his father. So he said, "I have to correct this. I better go to the school where I studied and question the teacher." So I went to the school and met the teacher and said, "Ma'am, you can't pronounce the word electricity." And immediately the teacher said, "What are you talking, sir? Your son's capacity is only that much. What can I do?" he said. And then all the more he was furious. The teacher is saying electricity and capacity. And then he said, "I can't deal with this teacher. Let me go to the principal." Went to the principal and said, "Father, I studied here, and what is happening to our institution? The standards are going down, and the teacher doesn't even say good, proper words to the children." So the principal says, "Okay, relax. You're our good soul student. Please be seated," and all that stuff. He says, "No, please show some generosity to the school where you studied," is his principal also. And everybody was upset. And so and was particularly upset. He said, I can't deal with you and this principal. Let me go to the correspondent or the secretary of the school. Went there, and meanwhile, they said there's a troublesome parent. He wants to take away the student from our institution, so better deal with this sensitive case. Oh, I said, I'll take care of it. Don't worry. So as soon as he came into the office, he said, please be seated. And well, would you like to have coffee, tea? I said, nothing doing. I want to have a TC for my son, and I want to take away my son because the school has gone to the dogs. So I said, relax, relax, relax. You're our good alumni, and you did very well here. You see, you're well settled because of our education, all that. So I will take care of the principal. I'll take care of the teacher. So my only request, we have a good reputation in this city about our school. Please do not make any publicity of this issue, he says. On a lighter note, so everybody has a kitty problem. So however jovial or humorous the story may be, but we can draw some fruits from it, and it should make us think. The education system that we can think of today in the situation around us is not very effective and efficient and doesn't prepare people. So on a lighter note, but anyway, let's start getting to the main topic on that lighter note. But if you see, our India is rightly called a land of great contradictions. It is a land which promotes both a culture of life and death. It's also a land of religiosity and at the same time monstrous inhumanity. Immense prosperity on one side and abject poverty on the other side. So we have a few individuals topping the list of the world's richest people, while we know that huge number of masses are languishing in utter poverty. We have temples, we have mosques, we have churches, we have other worship places everywhere, and yet religious hatred seems to be growing by each passing day. So you can see the situation. And these contradictions are not prevalent only at economic, religious, and political levels, but also in our education system. We have the premier, the world-renowned institutes of learning, such as the IITs, IISCs, and IIMs, and NITs, and AIMS, and ISI, and the JU, and the BITS, and the ISB, etc., etc. So the Indian Institute of Technology and the IITs were placed 50th in the world and the second in the field of engineering, next only to MIT. And this is said by the Times Higher World University Rankings, you can see that. Besides, an Asian Week study had ranked them as the best technical universities in Asia. And if you see India's higher education system is the third largest in the world after China and the United States. And at the same time, my dear friends, India being a developing nation struggles with many, many formidable challenges in the education of its masses, of its people. The Economist reports that half of 10-year-old rural children cannot read at the basic level. Over 60% is unable to do simple division, and half of them drop out by the age of 14. Fewer than 40% of adolescents in India attend secondary schools. Around 1 in 10 young persons have access to tertiary education. And what is worst? And according to one Mercer consulting estimate that only a quarter of graduates that go through our institutions in India are employable. That should make us to think, what are we doing with our education system? So 1 out of every 3 out of the school children in the world resides in India. 53% of students drop out of before completing primary school. It is also estimated that for every 100 girls, since you are running women's school, you should know this, that enroll in school in rural India, 40 will reach grade 4, 18 will reach grade 8, and 9 will reach grade 9, and only one will make it to grade 12. Maybe this is a little old statistic, but more or less, let us give a little more, 2 or 3 people maximum. So this studies suggest also that parents, some of your parents, that are more likely to spend private expenditure, more money for sons than girls. So if you see the so-called 21st century shining India, we have definitely missed the mark. And today we need to examine our education system thoroughly and see where we are and where we need to be. Today we need to ask relevant questions for ourselves, being an education institution and also as educationists. What is the situation of our schools in our areas? What is the situation of our colleges in our areas? Why is there such a high dropout rate? Why is there such a widespread inequality in the education system? So has our government taken concrete steps to improve this situation? Maybe yes and no. How much amount government spends on education, how much they spend on arms and ammunitions. Probably just the budget is released a few days ago, you might have seen. The highest one is spent for what? Arms and ammunitions. 8.5 lakh crores are spent. Education, hardly any. So it is sad to know that students often drop out because their public school experience, the government school experience or the college experience, those experiences are often so poor that they learn very little even after being enrolled for 4 to 5 years in the school at times. Teachers' lack of interest and absenteeism is one major cause. We might have to accept this. One major cause of this sad state of Indian education. In fact, one study found out that 25% of government sector teachers and 40% of government sector medical workers could not be found at the workplace. వచ్చి సంతకం పెట్టేసి వేరే పనులు చేసుకుంటా ఉంటారు అంతే. Among teachers who were paid to teach, absence rates ranged from 15% in Maharashtra to 71% in Bihar. So only one in nearly 3,000 government head teachers had ever dismissed a teacher for repeated absence. That shows the lacunae in the system. And thereafter, I don't need to explain how much of mishaps, the less quality and the integrity lacks. So the Indian Constitution made a commitment to make every primary and middle grade education free and universal by 1960. That is the biggest target they put. But India's inability to allocate resources effectively and efficiently has made that goal unattainable even after 60 years later of their commitment. So according to the United Nations Human Development Report, among 143 countries listed, India ranks 104th in allotment of public expenditure for education. Not only that, a UNESCO study showed that countries spending much less than India on education are getting better results. So that also reveals about our systemic challenges and the problems that we face. And how do we expect in such a situation transformation, change, prosperity, growth, and quality? So the out of union budget for education, 88% amount goes for teachers and non-teaching staff's salaries. 88%. So hence very little amount remains for key investments in infrastructure, proper buildings, teacher training sessions, instruction material that what they can use, and so on and so forth. So despite a commitment to free education, our institutions simply do not have the funds to provide the basic amenities for our students or those people who are engaged as trainers and teachers. For 90% of the estimated 112 million children who enroll in primary school annually in India, the learning environment is abysmally low. School consists of just one room in the house, one room sometimes, some places, one teacher covering multiple grades, looking after 1 to 5th class sometimes. Many public schools, the government schools, barely have the most basic facilities. It's all generally a closed building, and they're not proper drinking water facilities, the toilets or blackboard. We know that. We all know that. Maybe these days things are slightly better, that we cannot compare ourselves to other places. I'm talking as a whole in India. Maybe our situation is slightly better, but still we have our own challenges. And in addition to these fundamental challenges, many institutions are seriously understaffed, especially in the largest states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. There is high student-teacher ratios are exacerbated by high levels of teacher absence and low levels of teaching activity. So you might be thinking, what Poddine father the negativity. So in this background, we'll be surprised to know that military spending claims a 1/7 of India's budget. I just told you. About 2/5 of Pakistan's budget. This is 3 times higher than what India invests in primary education in government and public schools, in government and private schools, and 275% higher than our public expenditure on health, Pakistan. And here I rest for a while and say, everything is not bleak. It's not that we have not any progress. It's not that we are not contributing for the development. So let us not be discouraged. Everything is not bleak. We have some signs of hope that are present in India. But we need to build on these positive signs and correct our negativities, the lacunas, in order to see a brighter future and a better tomorrow. The positive thing is our literacy rate has increased from around 3% in 1880. We are only 3% of our people are literate. So this literate rate has gone in the country today to 74%. Of those, 82% are the males and 65 are the girls, the females. So this progress had happened because of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan that Government of India so nobly had taken up, and they worked hard, and this percentage has increased. So, and may government initiatives and private initiatives like this increase much more of the literacy rate, but we would be in for trouble, or we would be not doing so well if we think that just literacy rate goes up, even 100% of the literacy, we might be achieving it, but do we make our people really literate? Are they really educated? Those questions still remain. So even just to sign and to read a little bit when we say that they are literate and educated, but we know the true sense of education. We know the real meaning, what education is all about, what the education stands for. Again, if you had listened in just sharing the same thought, Rahul Gandhi just in a couple of days ago in Parliament made that there are two types of Indians. There are two types of Indias. I have the similar thought as well. There are two Indians. The India of the poor and oppressed, with the cultural and religious traditions of masses, and the India of the rich, oppressors, with the culture, religion, and the traditions of the rulers. So throughout the history in our country, these two cultures have grown more or less on parallel lines. Therefore, literacy and education has always been understood through the eyes of economically advantageous groups. The political unwillingness of the state to look into the socio-cultural diversity of our society ruled out the scope for the growth and aspiration of little cultures or small cultures of our society. And as we said today, more than 30% of Indians are illiterates. They don't even know how to write and read. The educational system is the product of conscious and deliberate political decision. Politics have got such power. It is the elitist profile of the markedly unequal distribution of educational opportunities among social and economic classes. So as a result, the literacy mission became an attempt to create rituals of dominant cultures. So hence, to achieve education for all, there is a great need for revolutionary transformation of the educational system. It's taking an integral part, a broad movement for radical distribution of economic assets and political power. On the other hand, if you see the context of India, poverty and deprivation of resources, they constitute greatest challenge and obstacle to the enjoyment of educational facilities provided by the state at all levels. So in order to achieve education for all, irrespective of what we are, there is a great need to battle against poverty, the exploitation that happens, the discrimination that happens, and the deprivation of food and water and health and resources. Again, the question that can be raised here, is it all that gloom and doom, Father? Are we not sounding too pessimistic when things are growing so much? It is true, my dear friends, that we have made some progress. It is true that we are able to have institutions that create impact in the society, but it is not enough. The situation that we are in, it is not enough just to have buildings, just to have some staff members, just to have some students. And what is happening in those classrooms is another level that I would like you. What I have presented so far to you is the lack of allotment of funds, the lack of proper staffing, the lack of facilities, amenities. That is one story, and we have to make lot of progress. And probably like Nadu Nedu, they talk about it and they are becoming some reality in some places. So in our situation, in our state, so if these things can take shape and at least the politicians are thinking in paper, if they become reality, it is well and good. But I want you to shift your gear of thinking to something different as well now, as I spend a few more challenges that we face. If you look at India, what is happening now? If you look at the global scenario, what's happening now? The curriculum of the world culture of education is set by, according to me, by three things. The market forces. So it is completely driven by economy. The market decides what type of education that students need to have. They put their agenda into the syllabi. They drive through what is needed. It's like a big lobbying that happens. For example, just silly example, in America, it's such a big country we talk about, you will never see huge railway network there. Have you ever thought why? Is it difficult for them to build a railway network system? It is very simple. The motor industry, the cars in the car industry, the mechanic industry have decided not to increase the facilities for them. They lobby so much. They spend huge amount of money on just the roads so that people depend only on cars. So you know that in America, people have kodukokaru, kudurkokaru, aludkokaru, mavai tapadu, because each one have to go to different places. In one household, they would have 2 or 3 cars. It is mandatory for them, or it is compulsorily they're forced into it because they cannot move around otherwise so freely. So the industry that decides, and they definitely drive their agenda into it. And today we have so much of doubts and questions raised about these vaccinations and this corona that is produced. There seems to be a big lobbying force and big pharmaceutical companies. And now Bill Gates is brought into the picture now that he had announced it about corona a few years ago. I think 2016 or 17, he already mentioned about this. And I already made a patent for the vaccination. So all the things are slowly coming out. We don't know. So, but one thing is for sure that there are huge market forces that drive through the agenda. And that is also very much prevalent in our education system without our knowledge. The political chauvinists, they drive through their agenda. And in the context of today, in our country, we have an agenda that is being pushed onto us. The political leaders, the politics, the government trying to enter into the institutions. What syllabus, what needs to be told, what needs to be taught to the students. They decide everything. And then you also talk about the economic globalization is another culture that comes into our curriculum. So the appeal of globalization is very simple. They want to bring a revolution in everything. And their appeal is very simple, the quality of life. And what do they say? Not the quality of life is not in being, but in having. The more that you have, the great you are, the better you are. It's not in being as a person, what you are, but what you have determines. That is the quality of life that they picturize and push everybody into that agenda. So the result of economic globalization is straightforward. It has less to do with our good teaching and learning practices because it is driven by the market forces. It has got the political agendas, and it is nothing to do with good teaching and the great learning practices for the students. So they drive their agenda. They make use of education system as one of their means to achieve their goals. And the result of economic globalization happens in education and then exclusion of the poor. They have no place. They have no place. And in our context today, you can see it's not a big secret. I'm not against it. You can see everywhere in the papers today, the Sangh Parivar's strategy that they have. And their strategy is very simple. The cultural nationalism slogan. One nation, one culture, one religion. They're straightforward. We want to have one nation. Of course, we are one nation. One culture. You cannot have one culture because we are of many cultures. We have the potential to become many nations because of the cultural diversities. We have the potential to become many nations because of the languages and the religions that we have. But we still desire to be one nation in our diversity. But the Sangh Parivar does not want us that way, or a strategy that is a political chauvinist. So they are trying to lead us into the belief that a Muslim is your enemy, a Christian is a foreigner, Adivasis, the tribals, they are Vanavasis, they are aliens. The BJP is the only savior of Hindu religions. Is a strategy that is being perpetuated. So they want to tamper the syllabus. They want to remove Tipu Sultan from the syllabus. You know, I don't want to give so many examples for this. So you can see. And what I'm trying to say, it's a challenge. Hence, we have this challenge. How do I, as an educationist, as a teacher, in my classroom, as an institute, how do I deal with this? First of all, am I aware of it? First of all, am I convinced that such things are happening? If we do not attend and ignore or just neglect, the ideology sows the seeds of disintegration. It sows the seeds of hatred among each other. It sows the seeds of bitterness, and people become rivalries. The biggest challenge that we also face, another challenge is to all these media contributes, because media perpetuates the consumerism. Media puts into the minds of everybody, even the educated one, belief in everything as truth. Whatever they say on the media is going to be portrayed as the truth. And that has an impact of uprooting us out of this culture that we so hold on dearly to us. And people come to the stage of having no identity. They struggle. What am I at the end of the day? Who am I at the end of the day? So that struggle for an identity. So, my dear friends, this culture, this venomous and this polluted culture as it comes, we have to become aware. So the four challenges I would say that we can also, in the education, see, the pedagogy is something that we need to look into. Pedagogy. Pedagogy is nothing but a kind of methodology that is adopted in our situation of imparting education. The trainers, training and the trainers, are the teachers, are the staff. And then the broad word itself, education. Many of us think education means, I know how to read and write, I passed the examination. That we all believe in, ఒక జాబ్ వస్తే సరిపోతుంది వెళ్ళిపోవచ్చు కదా, పని అయిపోయింది కదా. Or is there more to that word education? And fourth, which always missed out, is the quality of life. That comes from our own institutions, education system. Quality of education. Quality of life. So, are we okay so far? I'm in the last stage, so we'll leave some questions as well. Yeah.
Yes, Father. Go ahead, Father. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the pedagogy, what is the pedagogy that we can have? So that is something yes, Father, we are saying pedagogy. What is that pedagogy? Through this pedagogy, we have to form our students. We have to form ourselves based on, number one, experience. Experience. The second one is reflection. And the third one is action. You have an experience, you reflect of that experience, and then you move into the next action. So what happens when you have this pedagogy? This pedagogy promotes thinking for you. You reason not only from your head, but also from your heart. It promotes social skills. And that experience, the first one experience, what can you have experience? How do you have this experience? In our education institution setup, do we have come and see programs? This is what we are. This is what we do. This is how we approach things. Do we have these social service activities, many programs that we have, clubs that we have? Do we have something towards compassion and solidarity activities? Solidarity activities, interreligious things. So all those things you can, I don't need to go into small details of it. So you need to have broader of these kind of, not only just classroom teaching and exams, but come and see programs, something different. Come and see means you are exposing yourself to other areas. I tell them, the other day I was telling the youth here in our college, there are a group of people, ఎరుకుల వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, యానాది వారు ఉన్నారు, మీకు తెలుసా? తెలియదు ఫాదర్ మాకే. వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారో తెలుసా? Thanks to that JB movie, that the tribe has come to forum now, that snake catches and rat catches. So there are some people around us, ICUF people, the Magic Youth people. I said, can we go and spend some time? Talk to them. What do they believe in? They have their own mindset. They have their own cultures. They have their own understanding of life. Yanadi people they don't care about the long life and enjoy as long as we are here. What we do our work and we enjoy. Life, quality of life, is what we define for them, is a different understanding for them. So it is good to know, come and see programs. So they begin to understand life from a different perspective. They begin to reflect, and that leads them to different action. So the social service program. So compassion and solidarity programs, I said. So the second part of it is reflection. So when you reflect, am I acting with justice and integrity? Am I acting with justice and integrity? When I reflect, I try to analyze the causes, why they are like this. Can't they go? So there is a huge uproar and so it's misunderstanding or understanding or differently. We don't know different perspectives. One Swamiji Chandriya said, "Ye kulam vallu aapane cheskovali, kummarvadu kummale cheskovala, ippudu vaadu chadukovadada ani vere vallu prashnistunaru." So now we have to see for ourselves, some people who are in some authority and power, మంగళవాడు ఎప్పుడు ఇంకా వాడి హెయిరే కట్ చేయాలి, వాడు వేరే పని చేసుకోకూడదా? So a butcher has to be only cutting mutton and chicken. So these are the communities are assigned and they have to be remain the same. అని ఒకళ్ళు చెప్తున్నారు. There are some people who give this. Should you continue in that direction? And now the young ones who are in the process of come and see, process of social engagement, and they want to see the justice and the aspects of it around the society, they are trying to learn, to analyze why we are like this. So we need to lead our students to that social concern. Not be busy with obsession is completing the syllabus, getting good ranks, good marks. Yes, that is not real sense of education. That is part of our education system. Completion of the syllabus, writing good exams, getting good marks, doing very well academically. This is part of our academic rigor. So in that, what is happening in that reflection process, we also need to think when the consumerism, as I said, no, having over being. Then you think, is it important? If I have 10 coats, I am big. Or if I'm being very responsible, socially conscious, I'm sincere, I'm an integrated person, being is more important. So we have to help our students to create a win-win feeling situation. Because our self-worth depends on developing all their talents and abilities. Because we are all potentially gifted people. We have the potential, irrespective of our background, whatever we are, doesn't matter. But we have the potential to blossom into as integrated persons, into as great examples. So that is what we need to help our students to think out of the box. So the action part is, once we are in the thinking process, the action part is we are building bridges. We are building bridges from different cultural and religious bridges we are building. When we have that mindset, our strength lies in diversity. Though we are different, we are one. And action is nothing but, can we, to promote that, we have to help our students to learn basic texts of all faiths, to know what it is about other stories. There are lovely stories in Mahabharata, Ramayana, good stories. Bhagavad Gita gives wonderful things. Quran gives, Guru Granth gives, and Bible gives. So inspiring stories can be culled out and they need to be explained and taught. Because all religions speak the same spiritual principles of love and service. And appreciation for other religion traditions should become part of us. And that is nothing but participating in the social celebrations that we do, all of us. These are the action part of it. And we do. And I'm very happy at least some of our institutions try to do these things, on which you do very well. So as we live together, we need to celebrate that uniqueness. We need to rejoice in each other's company. We need to see each other as potentially good people. And this is the attitude that we need to perpetuate through our educational institutions. Perpetuate that attitude of tolerance, acceptance, appreciating. Even if we disagree on certain policies, we can appreciate each other as persons. And we should learn to appreciate even the disagreements. So, to capture that imagination of our young people today, who are in our institutions, we need to have this process of the pedagogy. And that pedagogy is nothing but, you have an experience, create that experience module, not come, sit into the classroom, just read through the material or just do the syllabus and then go home and attend exams. No, create an experience, even through your subject, even through your other modules that you have. Create that experiential learning, and that learning should help them to reflect, and that reflection will lead them into positive actions. And we do this process, and then we give that proper, real statement that vision that we have for India. India is shining, then we can say. And for that, every one of us must contribute to build that shining India, to build that new India. And because we have the human resources, we need to capitalize on those resources to build that new India. In this context, my dear friends, solidarity is a matter of urgency. Solidarity is nothing but respecting the other as a good human being. So, in our institutions, let us take up the challenge of empowering with moral values and principles. We need to courageously stand up to fight against the evil forces in our own campus to start with. Let us also stand up to eradicate that conformism blindly. I'm Christian, so anything that done by the Christian leader, I'll conform. I'm a Hindu, everything I like Hinduism, everything by Hindu is done by conform. Even though I'm a Muslim, if anything done by my Muslim leaders, I conform. We need to eradicate that conformism. If there is something unwanted, we stand up and we say, I'm sorry. And we do not so easily succumb to the market forces. So when we are able to have this process, the pedagogy part of us, then this is something I want you to take. Anthony, all that I said, if you forget, doesn't matter. I want you to just have this experience And then you have the reflection and action in the areas that I touched upon. That is, you cannot create the facility, building facility, that and so on, but you and I can create something different. I can create a culture within my classroom. I can create a culture of these things that I mentioned, keeping in mind of the challenges of the market forces and the political chauvinism that we have, and the globalization impact we have, the media impact that we have, and what are the things that are trying to remove us, disintegrate us. Darbhagyam. 21st century we are in, and we are more and more fragmented. We are more and more divided. We are more and more, in the name of caste, in the name of religion, we are more and more divided. Rather, when we say the world is becoming a global village, we are supposed to become more and more as a mega family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbam antam kada manam. We are supposed to be that, but we are becoming more and more nuclear. Ammo, ma cousin tone vadochi ponukunnanu nenu oppukoను. We are so much so that ఇంట్లో చిన్నపిల్లలు ఎదురున్నప్పుడు కూడా వాడు నా రూమ్లోకి ఎందుకు వస్తున్నాడు అంటున్నారు ఈ రోజుల్లో. So we are becoming so individualistic in that regard. These are all impacts that we are having, because the culture that we are promoting is what we need to see for ourselves. So all that we talked about in the four challenges, pedagogy, and that those experiences that are going to be, and we said one thing is, for a quality life, we need to have the real understanding of education. So, my dear friends, education should be regarded as a way of preparing a person for a social, for a civic, religious, and economic role that person plays. And that should go far beyond the contours of a rudimentary literacy training that is consisting merely the teaching of reading and writing. It should go far beyond. That is the real education. So the process of learning to read and write should be converted into an opportunity for acquiring information which can be immediately be used to improve working and living standards. Reading and writing should lead not only to elementary education, but also to training for work. Of course, our education should prepare us for work and jobs. It would help us to increase the productivity in the society. But it also should promote us to a greater understanding of the surrounding world, the challenges that world facing. And it should ultimately open the way to our basic human culture. What is our human culture? A culture of accepting the other, a culture of being tolerant to the other, being open to the other. In other words, a culture of being human, just human. So I end summarizing all that we have spoken. If my education does not prepare me to a life that allows me to live in peace and allow others to live in peace, if my education does not allow me to live a quality life and allow and promote others to live in quality life, then I have not done enough. I have more to be done. I need to become part of those hands that are striving to achieve this goal. Hence, I leave you with these words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, who beautifully said about education today. And he said long time ago, but it makes absolutely sense even today. He says, we are shut up in schools and college recitation rooms for 10 or 15 years and come out at last with a belly full of words and do not know a thing. The things taught in schools and colleges are not education, but the means of education. It says, I am a survivor of a concentration camp. My eyes saw what no person should ever witness. Gas chambers built by learned surgeons, educated surgeons, children poisoned by educated physicians who studied many years. They poisoned pure, innocent children. Infants killed by trained nurses. Women and babies shot and killed by high school and college graduates. So he says, I'm suspicious of education. My request is, that's what he says, and I have the same request for all of us. Let us help your students to be human. Your efforts must never produce learned monsters, skilled psychopaths, or educated Eichmanns. In German, Eichmanns means those Nazi people who killed those people. Thus, reading and writing and spelling and history and arithmetic are only important if they serve to make our students human. So our reading and writing and our spelling and our BScs, BAs, hotel management, PGs, everything are only important, and they only serve well if they serve us to be good human beings. And then you begin to see the transformation, not only internal transformation, even the transformation in terms of facilities, in terms of amenities, in terms of social structure around us, infrastructure as well. Because once transformation begins, it is a cyclic process. And I wish that you and I begin to play a small part in this. I end here, exactly 12 o'clock. And we can take some questions if we have. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Father, for your wonderful presentation. You reminded us how a teacher should be. As you said, the pedagogy where we can, with our experiences, we can reflect and take an action. That is where we are lacking, I believe. Being a teacher, I feel that what my experiences are different from the students, those who come to my class. So I'm not able to relate myself with them sometimes, and not able to take a proper action to make them or transform them into a good human being. Thank you, Father, once again for reminding each one of us what is our duty towards future generation. May I request the gathering, if you have any questions to Father, please raise your question.
Or you also have any thing to add, you're welcome to add, because you're much more experienced and well-versed, having been in the ground for so many years. So, I can also...
Good morning, Father.
Good morning, Amma. Santosh.
Yes, Ms. Santosh.
I'm Dr. Santosh. I have a small question to ask, Father.
Yeah.
Like, we are facing a lot of problems with the attitudes of young students now. So my question to you is, Father, what kind of tips you can give us as how we can bring a behavioral change, an attitudinal change among the students with simple day-to-day practices? Could you just guide us on that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know whether I will satisfy you. I have no magical answer for it. But one thing is for sure, you have to understand that present-day students that are in your classroom and you are so different, and there is a huge generational gap. Your understanding of life could be different from theirs. So this itself is an experience. And this is where we need to come to the reflection part of it. You, from your side as a teacher, do I put myself into the shoes of my students, understand their culture, understand their thinking process. I'm not saying everything we have to say, yeah, you do whatever you want to do. No, not that way. First step is to become aware of that. So recognize that they are different from me and my thinking. If you have something different that needs to be corrected, or that needs to be part of their life, that will enhance their quality of life, then you need to talk through, express yourself. మనకున్న చిన్న దౌర్భాగ్యం ఏంటంటే we simply say, don't do this. Don't do this. అంతే వదిలేస్తాను అంతే తర్వాత. Why, ma'am? The child will ask you, the girl will ask you, why are you saying ma'am? I'm simply telling, no, I'm your teacher, no, don't do this, that's all. Don't ask too many questions. You have not satisfied her, and she's only going to keep quiet only for that moment. But if you can reason out why we are implementing this rule in the college, why we are doing this way, is because of this. Explain the reasons. Majority of them will fall in line. At least, even though they may not agree with us, they will respectfully disagree with us. And that's where we begin to go. And that is very important for us as well. So the young ones may not appreciate us for what we do and what we say at that point of time, but they will definitely think when we put it the way it is supposed to be put. I'm the teacher, you just do, you listen, don't ask too many questions, keep quiet. It only becomes rebellious. And we are not helping that student as well in any way to process something positively. Yeah, does it make some sense, ma'am?
Sure, Father.
That point, that word that you brought it is very important. Attitude is the most important thing now. Now, you should ask when you go to the classroom, why am I in this college as a teacher? The student should ask in the classroom, why am I studying? That is important. It's an attitudinal question. I'm studying to make my life better, to enlarge my scope of understanding of the world, and to live a quality life. You are going to look at your education differently from, ఏదో జాబ్ రావాలి, నాకు డిగ్రీ అయిపోతే ఏదో ఒక ఉద్యోగం చేసుకుంటే నాకు అయిపోద్ది, మా అమ్మ నాన్న ఎవరికో పెళ్లి చేసేస్తారు అని అనుకుంటే, that person is not giving the best and has not understood the true spirit of education. If you go to the classroom, ఏదో సిలబస్ కంప్లీట్ చేయాలి, ఇంటికాడ ఉంటే బోర్ కొడుతుంది, మా ఆయన వెళ్ళిపోతున్నాడు, పిల్లలు వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారు, నేనేం చేస్తాను ఇంటికాడండి, I also have a PG, let me do some work. If your understanding about your profession is as that attitude, then you are not going to give good quality of education to your students, because you will just do the minimum. You will do the tick boxing, but we are invited to go beyond the tick boxing. Yeah, so that attitude is very important. Yeah, thank you, and good question.
Thank you, Father.
In the YouTube, have they written any questions? Somebody is watching in the YouTube, so they're okay, otherwise fine.
Father, I just want to add something.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sister.
Father, what you have said is very much apt, to which our founder has insisted. He always insisted on pedagogy of the heart. He asked the sisters, okay, your education is, please be human and humane.
Yeah.
That was, and he has written for the so many rules for the teachers, how the teachers should be, how we have to treat a child, how we have to deal with the staff, how we have to be, and what is our endeavor is all about. Pedagogy of the heart, Father. Today, what you have said, no, very much matching with what he has said some years back, some other centuries. But I'm really thank you, Father. So beautiful what you have spoken, and it is gives me a lot of happiness. We are doing a lot of work, Father. Community services. We are carrying on. But what I feel personally is not the people. We are doing a lot, because one thing I cannot excuse myself for ourselves here because of pandemic. Something has stopped. What we used to do in the past. We say Naliguda Mandal, we have adopted villages. Lot we have been doing. But I think it's time for us to wake up once again You have inspired a lot for us. And this talk is really for me. I need to reflect a lot on this. All of us, along with my staff here, all our staff is here. We will definitely will do something beautiful, Father. As you said, no, there's a lot of disparity. We have cultural differences, lot. These things we have to overcome. We have to go beyond that, and we have to inculcate in the students this kind of realization or awareness. Thank you, Father, so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Just to mention that what could be different from what you have been doing is this. You're doing a lot of, I know most of our institutions, good institutions, we do a lot of social activities and so on. So for example, you say, okay, Christmas is coming. We'll go and distribute some fruits and clothes to poor people. It's an activity. But that is where that's where we need to change a little bit and say that activity is good in itself. How is that activity is helping my students to think? How is that activity is impacting them? So that is where the pedagogy comes, where the reflection comes. They have an experience, wonderful. They have reached out to some disadvantaged people, but how did it affect me? How did it impact me? If that impact is reflected upon, then that person, you're only teaching one thing, and that later on you don't need to tell. Even after leaving the college, for any occasion, they begin to do something different. So that part has to be inculcated. Usually, అలా ఇచ్చేసి 5 నిమిషాల్లో ఫోటోలు తీసేసుకొని we just give and we come back. జరిగేది అదే జనరల్గా. నేను అదే చెప్తాను స్టూడెంట్స్కి అట్లా. You have to engage, know them, know their stories. What is happening to them? What do they think about society? Why are they being aged home killer? Why are they in aged home? Let them know. If that child listens to the story of old woman and say, I did so much for my little son, only son I had, but that fellow threw me out of the house because he wanted to have the little half an acre that I had. A story విందనుకో, ఈ పిల్ల ఏం ఆలోచించింది రేపొద్దున, నా తల్లిదండ్రులు మాత్రం నేను ఈ స్థితికి రానివ్వను. I will, whether నువ్వు అక్కడ పెట్టావా ఇక్కడ పెట్టావా, దట్ ఈస్ డిఫరెంట్ స్టోరీ. నువ్వు ఏజ్డ్ హోమ్ లో పెట్టినా కూడా కొన్ని సంవత్సరాలకు పెట్టొచ్చు. బట్ ఐ స్టిల్ డూ దట్ విత్ లవ్, నాట్ విత్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ స్పైట్ అండ్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ హేట్రెడ్, అవుట్ ఆఫ్ సెల్ఫిష్నెస్. ఐ డూ ఇట్ విత్ లవ్. So how do I treat my parents? She's already begin to impact because one story has allowed her to be touched. Similarly, like that, you go to the go to mosque and the church and temple and you make a visit, but they have to reflect upon that. How did this exercise help you? ఏం నేర్చుకున్నావు దీని నుంచి? ఏం అర్థమైంది నీకు? Yeah, we had a wonderful trip. 4 photos, selfie తీసుకుంటే సరిపోద్ది, అయిపోద్ది. We went and we had. No. How did it help you to become better person? ఒక్క విషయమే. Today I shall be very, very careful before I condemn or put down other religion people because I have a positive experience. I will not. I just read something. Muslims are all they are all terrorists అని విన్నాను. నమ్మేస్తానా నేను? But I had a very positive experience when I went to mosque. They received me so well. The Imam has told us what are the good things in that community of mosque and the Muslims are doing in that area. How is that I am thinking so far? All Muslims and why am I thinking like that? I shall not buy into what is said in the media. There are so many wonderful Muslims. So the child is learning. The young student is learning to reflect and process and take what is positive and trying to be a better human person. So that element has to be added into our. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Any more questions? There are no questions in the YouTube box, Father.
Oh, wonderful. So
Yes, and then
they have understood nothing or they understood everything. Either of it.
they must be reflecting on it, Father.
Wonderful. So nice. I'm sure they are wonderful children. They will do. Young ones are smart today.
Yes, very smart these days. As sister said, because of Corona, we have a lot of things shut down all the last 2 years. But now we will revive what we can do for the betterment of the students and for the institute too, Father.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also thank our sisters for their services for the cause of education, because of whom we are here enjoying the fruit of education and the profession of teaching. Thank you, sisters, for all the facilities you give us and all the opportunities you make us avail. Thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of all the staff and students, sister. And
Father, good morning, Father. I'm Dr. Fatima Rani from Department of English.
Wonderful.
Father, hearty congratulations, Father. It's really very apt. Your lecture is very apt because we are really got connected to what you spoke today, because as lecturers here in the college, the service, the extension that we are participating, the service we are participating since years, and the students really, they have very good opportunity in our institution, because every year, it's because of our management sisters, we could relate whatever the point, each point what you spoke today, it's a experience for us, Father. So our management has given us a lot of experience, and the students especially, they are really getting benefited. So this is really an addition for us. And we are really got motivated, Father. Hereafter, with good spirit, we continue this, and we also encourage our students to be more human. So that's with quality. That's what we really liked in your speech today. Thank you so much, Father, for your enlightened words. Thank you, sister, for the great opportunity for all of us
Let us
to
thank
have
Father
a resource
for a very
person.
good talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Miss. If there are no questions, can I request Dr. Neeraja to propose vote of thanks?
Be present in all things and thankful for all things, said by Angela. First of all, I thank God Almighty for making this event happen amidst of all odds. I seize this opportunity to thank our speaker, Fr.Bala SJ, for accepting our invitation and giving a lot of inputs for the students on changing of education for transformations. Father, your talk was enriching and thought-provoking. Thank you for being an inspiration for our ICAF students too. My heartfelt thanks to our principal, Dr. Sister Marietta Di Mello, from the bottom of my heart, for her tireless efforts to make this lecture happen against all odds. For all your efforts and making us a part of this program. I thank our correspondent sister, Dr. Marietta Pudora, and all the management sister for gracing this. Thank to the teaching staff, to all a keen interest in participating in this. Thank you all for this, for your participation, and also I thank to all the persons who work behind.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Neeraja, for proposing thanks. And thank every one of you for your participation. And I thank especially our principal sister for making us part of this program. In spite of all the odds, we have postponed this, we had to postpone this program 2-3 times, but still she didn't leave that. With a lot of determination, she made it happen today. Thank you so much, sister, for all the efforts you made. And I thank Fr.Bala for giving us a lot of inputs and made us reflect on what we are today. Thank you, Father. Thank you so much.
With you. Let's work together with our groups as well. So we have two groups.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Father, some more activities are there for us to carry on. You have promised.
We will do that. We will do that.
We'll do further. Slowly we get into those activities. So thank you very much.
We'll do it.
Welcome once again.
Thank you.
Welcome to St. Theresa's.
Yes.
Thank you, Father.
All the very best to all of you. Keep smiling.
Thank you, Father.
Be happy.
Thank
Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Father.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Bye, Father. Bye.